This might hurt less if you don't fight so hard, but I doubt it. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are going to be punishing our opponent both for drawing cards and discarding cards. Now, if you remember when Liliana's Caress was a playable Magic the Gathering card, like, maybe make sure you do some stretches every day so you don't hurt your back. Okay, jokes aside, there was a time when cards like Liliana's Caress and Megrim were relatively popular and maybe even good Magic the Gathering cards. But in today's world, Orcish Bowmasters and Sheoldred the Apocalypse are sort of the mono-black pillars that are defining kind of what is acceptable in terms of these Punisher effects. And we're going to go a little wild today, playing Burning Inquiry alongside things like Sheoldred, Orcish Bowmasters, and Liliana's Caress to really maximize the amount of punishment that we can give to our opponents. One of the problems of these strategies is that eventually your opponent becomes hellbent. That is, they run out of cards in hand and you can't force them to discard anymore. So we're going to play a couple copies of Anvil of Bogarden to kind of help bridge that gap. So kind of the dream world here is that we play something like a Liliana's Caress and a Sheoldred, and then we cast a Burning Inquiry. Each card they draw is 2 life. Each card they discard is 2 life. And so Burning Inquiry can turn into this utterly wild burn spell that lets us finish out a game. Is this the best thing to be doing in Legacy? If by best you mean the most fun for me, I hope so. All right, we're fucking pod racing, folks. So we fetch a land, Dark Ritual 3 mana, Dark Ritual 5 mana, Chrome Mox, Imprint Sheoldred 6 mana, cast Sheoldred, cast Orcish Bowmasters, pass the fucking turn. Hope our opponent is playing a blue deck. Here we go. Grab Badlands. Cast Dark Ritual. Cast Dark Ritual. Cast Chrome Mox. Imprint Sheoldred. Play Sheoldred. Cast Orcish Bowmasters. That is a fucking turn 1. And at that point, we can pass the turn. We've done some damage. I expect that we're playing against a Show and Tell deck. Volcanic Island. Ooh. And I pick up a land here. I will send in for 6. Opponent goes to 11. I guess I'll make the land drop. Opponent goes to 9. Yeah, that is insane. So I have only seen Volcanic Island. However, my opponent has a type. They're known for a thing. So I am going to anticipate that my opponent is on Show and Tell, and I'm going to board accordingly. I guess Sneak and Show specifically. So let's figure out what I do not want. I do not want Lightning Bolt. I probably am boarding out some number of these effects. So if I board in 6 cards, I am going to need to cut 3 of these. But Surgical Extraction is also pretty respectable. Taking a Show and Tell and then extracting it really slows down my opponent. I am going to go for 3 Surgicals in addition to that. Kind of want Anvil's scary. It represents a lot of damage. Like, is that better than just Burning Inquiry? I don't know. Burning Inquiry is much faster with Sheoldred and Orcish Bowmasters. I may have just played so many hate cards for combo that I'm going to end up in this situation where against combo, I take out a lot of reasonable things. This is a hand. So I can just go like Badlands, Pithing Needle, Sneak Attack, and then hope that I like Burning Inquiry and then can Surgical Show and Tell and continue to make land drops. It's probably better to just mulligan this one and keep a safer hand. Let's go to 5. Easily best hand so far. One Sheoldred goes back. And then I think I am going to put another Sheoldred back for later. I think my plan is strip my opponent of resources. I hope to draw a black card and then play Inquisition on turn 1 into Liliana. Veil of Summer is gonna fucking suck. But there's not a lot that I can do about that. So we'll play into it. I'm gonna start on an Inquisition, I believe. It is a Brainstorm. No hits. Got it. So at this point, I'm going to Chrome Mox, Imprint Inquisition, and then Thoughtseize my opponent. I believe taking Atraxa. So if my opponent show and tells, they can put in Emrakul, I can draw a black source and then have Liliana. All right, that did not happen. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. That's not what I'm looking for. Definitely feeling the mulligan to 5 here. My first discard spell was effectively countered. My opponent can also just like straight up hardcast a Fury as a creature that beats down. Show and tell occurs. I put in Sheoldred. I need a black source. I'm totally good if I get a black source this turn. F. All right, well, play to your outs, I suppose. Burning Inquiry. Triggers. We burn our opponent for a bunch, but that's not going to do it. This Emrakul attacks me down to 10. This is gone. They're only at 11. I can't answer Emrakul easily. I will concede. We needed this land to be a card or two higher. I think I am happy with the boarding plan. We'll run it back. Hopefully just not mulligan to Oblivion this time. Chrome Mox. Probably Imprint Turok. Mountain Thoughtseize. And Bowmasters are my next 2 plays. That's fine. I wouldn't go so far as good. It's fine. So Mox. Turok's gone. Play Mountain. Thoughtseize you. So my opponent has 2 different things that are like kind of good here. They have the Vesuvian Drifter and the Sneak Attack. I think I am fighting on the raw speed front here. I'm going to take out Vesuvian Drifter. I have Pithing Needles that I can draw to help with Sneak Attack. I want this upkeep stop back. All right. Island, Petal are gone. I would rather cast Orcish Bowmasters in response to a Brainstorm than anything else here. Yep. I think I cast this now. If my opponent wants to Brainstorm, I want to eat the Lotus Petal. And they do not. It's a little awkward because this opens up Fury, but if Fury pitches Sneak Attack, I consider that a win for me. Okay. And we're chilling. Really awkward that I have the 1 basic mountain here. Maybe it shouldn't even be in the deck because it's just like so bad in these sorts of scenarios. I will Thoughtseize my opponent here. They can Brainstorm in response. Force of Will, pitching Force of Will. We know the exact contents of my opponent's hand. Unfortunately, I'm just not deploying cards here. Nice. This grows the Orc token out of range of Fury, or at least Fury taking out Orc and Bowmasters at the same time, more accurately. All right, good stuff. Leaving my opponent at 13, and we're chilling. So this just misses a huge portion of the time. I think I'm still going to cast it. It's free for me to do so. Ooh, a Veil of Summer. Am I Orcish Bowmastering here? I'm probably Orcish Bowmastering in response to that. It makes Fury slightly awkward, but feels fine otherwise. I never need red, so let's get a Swamp in case things get weird. So, play Bowboy, ping my opponent for 1, throw the army. My opponent draws a card. I get 2 Orcish Bowmaster triggers. These now can't go at my opponent, so I will send them at my Orc. Inquisition gets countered. I swing in for 8, and we are done with the match. I was worried that our hand was not good enough to get there, but my opponent didn't just have the nuts to kill me. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I personally keep all of my deck lists for every format on this site. I love that I can go and sort them by types and tags if I need to. There's a lot of different viewing options. It can give you some math about your mana symbol, your curve, and you can even playtest and do sample opening hands with it. Check this site out if you haven't before. It's awesome. All right, our opponent has started the game with a Leyline of the Void in play. And this game is probably going to get weird pretty fast. I am actually playing a Liliana's Caress here, and seeing as Burning Inquiry is going to be my follow-up, this is going to do a lot of damage. Okay. So my opponent is intending on thought-seizing me. I think, however, the best card in their hand by an order of a magnitude is this Dark Ritual. Because Beseech the Mirror, well, what if they're only playing one Helm? What if they're only playing one Helm? Beseech the Mirror still just gets a Sheoldred or something that's very good. I'm going to take the Dark Ritual. All right, and then my opponent loses 2 life. I really needed this Burning Inquiry, because this Burning Inquiry was going to be 6 points of damage and my way to make my second land drop, but I just don't think I can take the Thoughtseize from my opponent's hand. Yeah. Let's rip Running Lands off the top. Or Dark Ritual. F. So this is the game of who hits land drops first, and this is an awkward spell to cast given that, but it's worth 6 damage for me. Okay. Oh, we hit the Helm, and we hit 2 mana sources. That's very good. My opponent was pretty greedy and not playing. Well, okay, never mind. No, they could have just drawn that Chrome Mox. I will probably just cast Dark Ritual into Orcish Bowmasters. But I'm going to wait to do that until I see if my opponent finds Orcish Bowmasters. Or, sorry, plays Orcish Bowmasters. If they miss their land drop, I'll just play Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, so now I know that Orcish Bowmasters is available for them, so I don't cast mine until after they cast theirs. Then I can say this Dark Ritual to potentially hit a Sheoldred off the top. Damn. All right. While Opposition Agent is not a thing, well, I guess Dark Ritual could happen, but I am just going to fetch out another land here. So then end of turn, that happens. My opponent pings me for 1, and then I will ping their Bowmasters for 1, and create some blockers. My opponent is definitely reaching the point of the game where I am getting scared of them, because Beseech still does just represent another potential Helm. That is, if they are playing more copies. And I don't know whether or not they are. That Vault is very good, too, because that grows the Urza Saga token. Okay. Oh, Beseech went under. Is it just another Beseech? A second Beseech in the shadow of the first. Yeah, they've got 1 Helm. Otherwise, this decision seems like kind of a no-brainer. Oh, it's Ill-Gotten Gains. Sure. That is a way to get the Helm back. Ill-Gotten Gains is only in the main deck about half of the time. Yeah, so they can get Swamp and Helm, and then another Beseech the Mirror. Got it. No, that's very good. So discard spell off the top that can take Helm would be juicy. That does not do it. So I should be dead 100% of the time. But let's see. My opponent agrees. All right, they go to 7. I pass the turn. So what should happen is that my opponent floats a mana with Urza Saga, gets a Chrome Mox, imprints the Beseech from their hand, then plays Swamp, and then they have the 5 mana for Mirror and activate. Sorry, for Helm and activate, and I'm dead. Oh? What? Oh, okay, sure. Yes. And I have no way to answer the ley line, so I am unfortunately dead here. We came damn close. So Meltdown and Pithing Needle are going to be very good in this matchup. That's probably about all that I want. Lightning Bolt's not exactly great. Okay, versus opposing Orcish Bowmasters. I'm bringing in Meltdown. Anvil gets worse. This can also hit some other things they could be playing, such as Opposition Agent. I'm not sure if Bolt is better or worse than some extra copies of this stuff. As an artifact, I'm going to board out 2 Anvils for 2 Meltdowns, and then I'm going to get 2 Pithing Needles in. Lightning Bolt might be worse than Liliana's Caress. Like, will Liliana's Caress, on average, trigger twice? Sometimes. You'd probably just cut 2 of these and keep the flexibility of this to deal with Urza Saga tokens. Well, this has a Meltdown, so I can lead on Inquisition and then maybe follow up with Liliana's Caress depending on how scary things are. I'll need a little bit more mana, but I probably just don't junk Meltdown hands versus this deck since they have artifact lands that I can just kind of blow up for free. I am going to fetch a Badlands out of my deck here and play around Opposition Agent, which is something that I might not have to do, but I'm going to do. Oh. So this is just a question of, do I want to take the Dark Ritual, or do I just want to take the Hymn? I think I am going to take the Hymn and risk them drawing a 4-drop this turn. Or no, I don't have to risk drawing the 4-drop because Dark Ritual only gets them to 3, and they won't have anything to put under Chrome Mox. We never take Chrome Mox because this. Alright, so this is going to presumably imprint Dark Ritual. Yep. Then they're going to play an Urza Saga. Oh, it is a Thoughtseize. I've lost my Meltdown, unfortunately, which was my plan versus these copies of Urza Saga. We were hoping to top deck Pithing Needle like a champ there, but it did not happen. And unfortunately, since my opponent's hand was essentially all mana, my Thoughtseize probably doesn't actually discard a card, at least in the short term, which is pretty unfortunate. I do not expect to win this game. Interesting. Well, probably make my land drop and then cast that. And then I can potentially cast a Thoughtseize as backup. Alright, 6 damage. Urza Saga is gone. Helm of Obedience is gone. My opponent still has Swamp in hand. I am going to try to cast Inquisition. It lets me save Thoughtseize for later if this is just a whiff. It's a Sheoldred's Edict. So we take that. My opponent takes 2 more. Liliana's Caress has done a lot more than a Lightning Bolt. Unfortunately, Thoughtseize does not take Swamp, though. So my current issue is that my opponent is about to get a Shadow Spear that I do not have an answer to. I have 1 copy of Meltdown, 2 copies of Pithing Needle remaining. Yeah. And this is just a representation of 5 or more life next turn. Damn, Meltdown would be good. I'll go to 15 from this. And we're hoping the top deck is good. It's fine. Alright, so is an Edict better or is a Plus better? I have so few removal spells in my deck that a Plus, taking my opponent off the 4th mana, could conceptually actually be better. Like, it's Meltdown and additional copies of Liliana, right? Because I don't have Edicts of any kind. I guess... No, Lightning Bolt won't kill one of these afterwards. So if my opponent gains 5 life and goes to 12, it is very hard for me to kill them immediately. Alright. Yeah, this lifelink is, I think, too much for me. This does reduce the amount of life that my opponent gains by a bit. By 1. And Liliana fogs for a turn, but this 4 life is just so good. Because otherwise, like, Lily and Thoughtseize plus Liliana's Caress has a decent chance at bleeding my opponent out over the next couple of turns. Now we don't know anything in my opponent's hand. Alright, goodbye, Lily. Is there a secondary play? I don't love that. What are you getting? Liquid metal coating is pretty respectable here. This is probably a chalice. Interesting. I mean, I'm going to take it. loses both of us 2 life, which I think favors me. My opponent's at 5. A Burning Inquiry can now kill my opponent off the top. I'm going to put this land into play and call it a turn. This is going to be a tight game. That got a lot scarier for me all of a sudden. Yeah. So that equip puts my opponent back to 9. So Burning Inquiry is not just lethal now. And I imagine that I'm getting Rishadan ported by Liquid Metal. Oh. It's another Chalice. Sure. Daggers. I don't think I can win anymore. I take 6 this turn. My opponent gains 6. Goes back to 15. And then this just like burn limp over the finish line strategy is not going to do it. We were totally able to do 20 points of damage this game, but that extra life gain was too much. All right. GG's. So I played against this player yesterday, and I believe they were on green-red initiative. And this hand is probably not stopping anything that they are doing. I'm going to ship this. This one can do a turn 1 Liliana and back it up with Lightning Bolt. That's fine. I'm not going to be able to take the initiative, though, very easily with this deck. Yeah, all right. It looks like I was correct. That was 3 Spirit Guides. Cool. So Minsc and Boo notably pluses to 4 loyalty. Now 4 is 1 more than the 3 mana of Lightning Bolt. I'm considering conceding right here so that my opponent can't sideboard properly against me. Like, I could Lightning Bolt a Minsc on turn 1, put Minsc to 1, Minsc pluses to 2, play Sheoldred on 3, but then like my opponent will have a Boo with 3 sets of counters on it. Take 7 this turn, go to 9. And then there's just 10 incoming damage. All right. I'm out. I can Pithing Needle Minsc and Boo, but that's about the only thing that I can do in this matchup. Not super happy about this. Very notably, Inquisition of Kozilek is going to be super inconsistent in this matchup. It can take Mana Rocks and Spirit Guides, but it does not take the cards that matter. So I think I'm going to board some of those out, despite the fact that it is turn 1 interaction. This feels like a very bad pairing for me. This Dark Ritual, turn 1 Lily. I do not have access to red mana. I do not have access to a second land. I don't think this wins. Let's mulligan. So, this is an underwhelming hand. If I draw the second land, I can deal a very large amount of damage with copies of Liliana's Caress and Orcish Bowmasters. I'm going to keep this and hope that things work out, realizing that very realistically, they don't a good portion of the time. But I think I need a critical density of spells, and boy, I wish this was a Thoughtseize. Okay, sure. Okay. We take a Spirit Guide, which is not nothing. That mountain was just revealed twice and passed the turn. So my opponent has the tools to play a turn 3 initiative creature as of right now. Okay, I have missed. So am I playing Burning Inquiry in an attempt to make my land drop and make my opponent discard these cards? Yes. But it doesn't feel good. I just kept my exact same hand. And probably made my opponent's hand better, unfortunately. Them's the breaks. Okay. Yeah. This is a turn too late. Yeah, at this point, I get attacked for 7. My opponent plays Blood Boil Sorcerer, which will be a total of 12 damage for that turn. And then I'm facing 10 damage the following turn. I can do some Orcish Bowmaster chump blocks, but like this has trample. That's just it. I missed the land drop and died because of it. Alright, we've gotten paired against a Yorion deck of some kind. My opening hand just doesn't have enough mana, and I don't like casting Naked Burning Inquiry unless I'm already on a mulligan and things have gotten weird. Huh? So this sort of hand is like really bad versus innate card advantage in the command zone, so to speak. But on 6, I probably just keep it. But I am unhappy. Okay. Hand did not improve. Let's start on Inquisition, and let's get a feel for whether this is Death and Taxes or a blue deck. Okay, this is a blue deck of some kind. I guess this is like instant versus sorcery. I guess I take the instant. Not really happy about this, because my opponent is going to just be playing a pile of value-oriented creatures that are going to get around the discard that I do. So yeah, not a fan, basically. Maybe I actually just take Venser. I'll take Venser, play a land, Inquisition my opponent, take Prismatic Ending, mostly just to get that card out of their hand, so that they're down 1 card for Burning Inquiry purposes later, once I actually have some damaging thing in play. Right, there's the land drop, and my opponent has drawn a creature. Alright, that's Yorion to hand, which is now a blue card to pair with Force of Will. So we're going to attempt to permanently take Yorion out of the equation. Snapcaster Mage. I still think I'm more afraid of Yorion. So let's do that. I'm just going to drop a Badlands and pass. I'm not going to play Burning Inquiry until I have something that will do damage with it in play. Ew. So I will drop a Sheoldred, which might just eat a Force of Will here. And it does, pitching the Snapcaster Mage that I knew about. Okay. Again, I'm going to wait on Burning Inquiry until I have something that does damage. This is a game that I am expecting to go to like turn 10 and beyond. Alright. Tempt kicked Turok. Pro White is super relevant in this matchup. Nice. Note that Turok here is very good with Burning Inquiry, as it is whenever an opponent discards a card, so it will be worth me playing Burning Inquiry on my own turn. Ooh, we are seeing some action. Okay, sure. Oh god. That's a good turn. So we're hoping that whatever equipment they get, I just take out of their hand with Burning Inquiry. Yes. Dark Ritual. Sheoldred. Cast Burning Inquiry. Triggers. Alright, so I am going to gain 6 life. My opponent is going to lose 6 life. Turok is going to get 3 counters. Turok is a 6/5. Kaldra has been discarded. Oh, Savine's Wreck is super awkward. Baleful Strix Protection, also awkward. I guess I'm chilling. And we just hope that I can bleed my opponent out before they do cool things. Alright, that is Recruiter of the Guard, which is scary. Finding Skyclave, which is real good. That takes out my Sheoldred. So, I do this. I think I just plus and take out that card from my opponent's hand. It was another Stoneforge Mystic, so I feel good about that. I have no targeted removal in my deck to take out Baleful Strix, so this like awkward Turok showdown is probably going to continue for quite some time. And Edicts are just like not good versus all these throwaway creatures. That's a flashback on Savine's Wreck. Getting a Stoneforge, finding Batterskull, and Baleful Strix. Sure. So Batterskull getting into play and getting on a flyer probably beats me. Yep. And Batterskull can come into play very easily. So all plus. Turok gets bigger. But then like this Batterskull comes down, gets on a flyer, and like I think that's just the game. I'm willing to be proven wrong. But again, basically every creature that my opponent has here is a 2-for-1. So my discard-based strategy is just not going to beat them long term. Baleful Strix is stopping Turok from getting through. Oh shit, my opponent missed it. Very happy with that. Oh, or they maybe had something better to do. I don't know. It seems to me that moving Batterskull to a flyer and killing Liliana while gaining a bunch of life and making Baleful Strix play around Orcish Bowmasters is very good. Lion Sash, sure. I don't think playing Lion Sash is better than killing Liliana. I'm gonna throw in the towel at this point. It's too far gone. Like there's 3 bodies that can block Turok. I'm not just gonna slip in a win that way. Sideboard doesn't feel great here. I can use some red elemental blasts as insulation versus Yorion in particular. And it gets Baleful Strix out of the way for Turok specifically. But my discard just doesn't punch hard enough here. I don't know. Maybe this card does not contribute to actually killing my opponent, and I can't play it. Like, the matchups that I win, like, the games that I win are the games where I burn my opponent out, and if I bring these in, I'll be taking out Liliana's Caress and Anvils, which are things that contribute to my opponent dying in a way that these other things don't. Okay. This is a keep. Figuring out how to play it is pretty awkward. Like, whether or not I play Thoughtseize or Inquisition on turn 1 is a really big deal. Opponent's mulliganing to 5. I think I play Thoughtseize then to take Force of Will, let Sheoldred come down on turn 2 most of the time, and fetch a basic here as to not get wastelanded randomly on turn 1 as well. I don't think I am supposed to Dark Ritual and play Lily, or Dark Ritual and cast 2 discard spells here. So Strix is probably more annoying for me than Lavinia. Alright. So do I just play the win condition? I can play Lily and another discard spell, but I think it is better to just jam Sheoldred here and try to actively win the game. My opponent will brainstorm in response, potentially finding an answer to Sheoldred. And this leaves my other discard spells to back up Sheoldred. This Prismatic Ending and March are not easily getting Sheoldred out of the way. We're just hoping for no Force of Will here, or no like Swords to Plowshares that just cleanly answers it before it does a bunch of damage. Alright. That is Lavinia. That's fine. So this Dark Ritual doesn't actually cast my Liliana because of Lavinia. So let's try to punch a hole here. Okay. Marsh Flats and Otawara remaining. Send in for 4. Kind of have 3 dead cards at hand. They're almost live cards. Almost. So my opponent loses some life. So Otawara's cost is reduced by 1 because Lavinia is a legendary creature. Just something to keep in mind. I'll take some damage. Opponent goes to 15. Okay. So let's attempt to send in with Sheoldred. My opponent may just end up bouncing it. We'll see. They do. So now, do I want to play Liliana or Sheoldred or what here? I kind of like Liliana plus and just take whatever card my opponent has. Let Lavinia attack Lily. Just Liliana Edict. There's like this gamble of whether or not my opponent's remaining card in hand is relevant. This is non-creature, right? Yeah. I could just Inquisition my opponent and then Dark Ritual Sheoldred again. I don't hate it. Just awkward sometimes because this misses. It's a fucking cataclysm, folks. Holy moly. Okay. Understood. I will cast Dark Ritual. I suppose Cataclysm Lavinia is a combo. And then we'll redrop Sheoldred, and we're hoping to burn my opponent out. We'll use Lily to get rid of some chump blockers. And we just kind of have to hope that my opponent draws poorly. Okay. It's worth 2 more life. Sure. All right. So now I have to decide which one of these things is better. Playing the Anvil burns my opponent out faster. Playing Lily... Cataclysm's kind of weird. Cataclysm kills planeswalkers. If I play Anvil, I'm basically saying you have 1 turn to answer Sheoldred or you die, and I know my opponent's current card is a brick. I'm going to do that. It's just weird because my opponent's deck has so much utility, so giving them the extra looks at stuff is very scary. This also does shut off that fetch land for what it's worth. So we'll put this so the Sheoldred trigger resolves first, and then this extra draw happens. Yeah, so the Cataclysm got looted away. That's not unexpected. My opponent's at 1. Marsh Flats can't be used as a normal fetch. Fuck, that's what I didn't want to see. This was just more looks at Source to Plowshare specifically. Agadeem's Awakening. Not great. So I can Lily and Edict my opponent to kind of slow them down. I think my plan is just draw Orcish Bowmasters or Sheoldred. I'm going to get rid of Lily. I am going to cast Burning Inquiry and just dig for those cards. Looted through Orcish Bowmasters. We'll hold Ancient Tomb until next turn. I don't need that unless I find Sheoldred. So now we're basically hoping that my opponent can't turn the corner on this game. We're afraid of them getting something like this or Batterskull that can gain them life. All right, they're going to hold back Strix just for some potential haste damage, I suppose. Don't know if that's correct. If I have Orcish Bowmasters, they're already dead, right? Yeah. All right. That's not good. Discard Inquisition. We'll just keep digging deeper, trying to keep like a Bowmasters in hand. There's Ancient Tomb. Pass. This is not great. Because my opponent basically is playing Magic right now, and I'm not. See what we can do. Might be a time where I've just fully bottomed out. Yep. Get 1 more draw here. Rough. I'll discard Ancient Tomb, I guess. I guess I'll put the 4th land into play. I'm not sure whether or not I'm actually supposed to cast this. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. Casting this could end up taking something like a Skyclave Apparition. I'm going to cast it. I'm going to assume that I'm dead next turn if I don't have a relevant draw. Yeah. Do I just fetch here? 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I just fetch here because I'm always dead next turn. And I don't expect to be dead this turn. Yeah, my opponent has just looted through a bunch of lands here. Oof, that's Yorion, Caracas. That's really good. So that represent... Oh, I think my opponent messed up there. Or no, they can't fetch, JK. No, it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they could have flickered Baleful Strix to got another draw to get Skyclave to get rid of this. No, I just fully missed every Anvil of Bogarden loot and draw step to not find 1 point of damage. That's frustrating. We have all the mana in the world and nothing to do with it. This is fine. My Chrome Mox probably goes back with this hand. I just play a discard spell on 1, a discard spell on 2. Looted Delta. Often an unfair land. These are uncastable lightning bolts for sure. So, pay some life here. I don't want to play out the Urborg too early, because it can be super relevant if my opponent is on Doomsday. Alright. Feels like a daze. Oh. Basic swamp. Ooh, fuck. This mono black reanimator? Like, they saw this land and then opted for... Okay, cool. We hit animate dead. My opponent is left with Atraxa in hand, and they fully need to top deck a reanimation spell. Okay. So, Inquisition is probably a miss right now. If my opponent had any sort of relevant 1 or 2 drop, they probably would have cast it. I am not going to Dark Ritual Inquisition Bowmasters. I'm just going to play Urborg past the turn, intending on playing an end of turn Bowmasters. Okay. I am not going to say that we're getting lucky here. I don't think that's accurate. But things could certainly be worse. Okay. Okay. Send them. Opponent's at 16. Dark Ritual. 4 mana. Sheoldred. We're much better versus Grizzlebrand now. And we only need another turn or 2 before Reanimate is off. Oh, fuck yeah. Nice. So we'll send these in. Opponent's at 8. I'll Inquisition now, because it's kind of now or never. We'll take a Dark Ritual. My opponent has drawn Mono Fatties. All right. So Reanimate is off the table. I sense danger. That is an Animate dead, unfortunately. The game is not over. So, if I attack with Orcish... Or no, I just let my opponent draw and Lightning Bolt them. I don't need to get cute with bolting my own creatures. I can just send it to their fucking dome. Okay. Cool. I'm not expecting any sort of counterspell or anything, so we'll just fire this off now. Whew. And then this draw trigger kills them. Okay. Dodged a bullet there. So, Surgical Extraction, good. I could get cheeky and play Emrakul for a show and tell sideboard plan. I don't know that I'm gonna do that. Lightning Bolt is probably the worst card in my deck, despite that incredibly fringe scenario that just happened right there. Anvil's a little awkward, isn't it? Like, that just lets my opponent put their creature into the graveyard. That's very awkward. So if I want to board out both Anvils to play around that exact scenario from happening, then do we... Like, is this actually better than, say, Mindbreak Trap? Mindbreak Trap's good against some of my opponent's absolute best openers. Mindbreak Trap is probably more generically good than Emrakul, but I don't think either one of these cards is particularly good. I just think they're both better than Lightning Bolt. This one's going to be a pass for me. So, somewhat humorously, I guess Liliana's Caress can be insane versus some Grizzlebrand lines where my opponent draws 7 and then discards a bunch at the end of turn. So, is this good enough to keep on the draw? If it is, it barely is. I'm going to say yes. We're hoping for not Dark Ritual. Okay, that's fine. That's less fine, because that just takes my Turok, which was kind of my primary game plan here. The plan was Dark Ritual, play Turok, Thoughtseize my opponent. Yeah. Okay. This is good. It's very good, even. I'm gonna fetch. I will grab a basic, just in case we get saucy with a Blood Moon or something. Dark Ritual, Lily minus. And next turn, I have a lot of discard power. Like, I can take anything that's left in my opponent's hand, basically. My opponent's on the Daldi Voidwalker sideboard plan, rather than the Show and Tell sideboard plan. I might want my Lightning Bolts back. Okay. So, let's Liliana plus. I'll discard Inquisition. It's not generically good here. We took an Animate dead. That's huge. And we'll call it a turn. I need to top deck better than my opponent, which I'm hoping isn't too hard. Ooh, nice. So I will play Orcish Bowmasters. Ping you. Make an orc. Opponent has discarded a Sheoldred. And all of a sudden I have a lot more pressure. All right. Land drop. 4 damage in combat. Putting my opponent to 11. I believe I just discard my own card here so that Lily can still be alive after minusing to take a creature out of play that sneaks in. Okay, nice. So land drop. Go to combat first. Send in for 4. Opponent's at 7. Plus Lily. Took out an Archon. That's a scary thing to have in the graveyard, but I think like Lily answers it. Fatal Push on the token slows me down. Slow and steady here. Opponent's at 6. I will continue to Lily plus. At some point, I can split my opponent's land and Lotus Petal, and it's not like that's irrelevant. Cool. So, continue to send on in. Opponent's at 5. We'll continue to plus. Atraxa's in there. Not something that I want to see. There's a land drop. Am I on fetch to thin time? I think I could be on fetch to thin time. Difference between 19 and 18 should be very minimal. Yes. Cast Burning Inquiry with 1 red mana. Trigger Orcish Bowmasters. Very nice. This puts my opponent to 2 life. I will attack, putting my opponent to 1 life. Now I decide whether or not I Lily minus. If I Lily minus, I can take them off of 2 mana. So I believe that is correct. Oh, fuck, my fucking Urborg. Can't take them off of 2 mana. Okay, well, my opponent decides it is not worth taking that extra draw, and we are done here. GG's. So, how are we feeling at the end of the league here? This is not something I articulated during the league, but I think the biggest difference between playing something that looks like this and something like a more traditional mono black or black X deck in Legacy is the presence of the Grief Scam package. Like Grief, Reanimate, and Troll of Khazad-dûm. So the fact that I am playing cards that look like this and this and this instead of those generically powerful cards probably puts me at an innate disadvantage versus a lot of things in the format. We stole 2 wins today, and I'm very happy about that. And we did some cool things. We did do a lot of damage with Burning Inquiry, but Liliana's Caress is situational damage, and it doesn't keep doing damage. So let's compare this to just say a 2/2 creature. If Liliana's Caress is around for 3 turns, you need an activation out of that every turn in order for it to keep pace with just a 2/2 creature of some time. And if you can Burning Inquiry, like the turn you play Liliana's Caress, or the turn you play, or the turn after you play Liliana's Caress, that is a great rate on damage. But if you don't, things get a little scarier. I still feel like Anvil making my opponent loot is just horrifying. Like, I know it is a way to keep some of these effects going once your opponent is hellbent, but it's very risky. Like, giving your opponent the better of 2 plays every turn is maybe not worth the damage that you accrue by triggering Bowmasters and Sheoldred extra times. This was fun to play, but this was an incredibly fast league. Like, I think I recorded this league in like an hour and 15 minutes. And that meant that the games were snowballing kind of in one direction or the other. And a lot of times I didn't have a ton of counterplay. So I don't know that I could give this one a thumbs up, but it was fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you end up needing to pick up any copies of Liliana's Caress, check out Cool Stuff Inc. Use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. And folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!